Welcome to the Heroic Investing Show. As first responders, we risk our lives every day. Our financial security is under attack. Our pensions are in a state of emergency. A single on-duty incident can alter or erase our earning potential instantly and forever. We are the heroes of society. We are self-reliant and we need to take care of our own financial future. The Heroic Investing Show is our toolkit of business and investing tactics on our mission to financial freedom.
Welcome to the Heroic Investing Show, a podcast for first responders, members of the military, veterans, and anyone looking to improve their financial future and gain some freedom with their time. We teach America's heroes how to build passive income, build their startup business, and safely grow wealth through real estate and other alternative investments. We help current and prior first responders put protections, systems, and a team in place to help them build a life where they can focus on their passion, that service or product that they are uniquely gifted to share with others, making the world a better place for all of us. My name is Gary Pinkerton, and I co-host this show with Jason Hartman. Today's episode is Heroic Investing 170, episode 170. This is a 10th episode, and as you long-time listeners know, modeling what Jason does on the Creating Wealth podcast series, we go off topic here on the Heroic Investing Show to something of general life interest. We've gotten consistently positive feedback on this from the very beginning, but we are always open to finding out if we're still on track, so please keep that feedback coming. You can deliver it to me directly at gary@garypinkerton.com, or you can go right to the Heroic Investing Show and leave feedback there on the site. The topics on these 10th episodes tend to be focused on self-improvement, raising your performance in health, family, business relationships, influencing others, general mindset, and many more, because they are the messages that, if we routinely hear and practice, can change our life and the lives of those around us. I think you will really enjoy the interview we've selected for today's off-topic 10th episode. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have the distinct pleasure of being able to introduce to you Pamela Pete. Pam is the CEO of the coaching company Masterful Purpose, and you can find out more about Pam and her company at masterfulpurpose.com. So Pam is a California native. She's a veteran, a retired Air Force Chief Master Sergeant. She's a professional recruiter, having spent many, many years as a recruiter in the Air Force and was wildly successful in that field, in that career. As I mentioned, she's CEO of Masterful Purpose, and the vision of her company is to fan into flames the gifts of God and ignite goal achievement in millions of people through coaching, transitional speaking, poetry, and prose. I think you are going to absolutely enjoy this lady, her story, her vision, her motivation, and what she can do for you and many like you in helping you achieve your goals. As I always say, identify unique genius, master unique genius, and then share it with the world. So everyone, please join me in welcoming Pam Pete. Pamela, as I mentioned in the introduction, is an Air Force veteran, has tremendous business that she has ran for several years. She's out of California, across the country from me. And Pam, I'd love for the audience to be able to hear from you. But first and foremost, welcome and thank you for joining me this morning.
Again, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be able to speak to anybody that might be interested in their gifts, goals, and purpose.
That's amazing. Well, we all should be if there's some that are not. Pam, could you just kind of give us, your background and how you ended up doing what you're doing today? And I believe you're going to tell me that you found your unique genius or your soul purpose, but I'd love to hear from you. Like, how did you end up here?
I think I knew what my gift was when I was 10 years old. I was kind of always one that was in charge, and I began to write poems at an early age, writing poems on the walls and things like that. So I already knew that kind of leadership and writing was a gift of mine. I came into Masterful Purpose after I retired from the military. I left home when I was 15, and I was homeless for a while, got into some abusive relationships. And the last relationship that I was in, that person was into all kinds of nefarious activities, as I was as well. And he had murdered someone and came to my home. And I let him in because he had a gun in his hand. And then shortly after he came in, somebody else came to the house and shot him in the head. At that point in my life, it was a pretty low part of my life. And my mom, through power of prayer, and God chose to save me at that time. And through some very extensive prayer and fasting, and it was just God's will that I was able to turn my life around. It wasn't overnight. It took a while. I was able to start goal setting, and that became the beginning of my goal setting ordeal. My mom was into goal setting. She had all these planners and guides that helped her set goals and realize goals. My mom was handicapped, and that never stopped her from doing anything. She had infantile paralysis from polio, and one leg was shorter than the other, but she went on to do anything that she wanted, to include traveling around the world by herself in her later years. Her determination, her fortitude, her faith, she instilled in me. And as I, in my desperation to change my life, I looked into goal setting. I got into a church. I was born again. I started setting goals, but I still had a lot of self-sabotaging habits, a lot of fears, and a lot of self-limiting beliefs. So I wasn't as successful in setting my goals initially. And then I discovered why I couldn't be successful, why I couldn't accomplish my goals. And I started doing research into those areas. So I started looking into different avenues that would help me overcome some of my self-sabotaging habits. A big one of mine, self-sabotaging habits, was lack of self-worth. Because of what I'd been through and what I'd gone through, and words which I had been called that I accepted, that went into my spirit, I didn't have confidence in myself. I didn't feel like I was valued. I didn't feel like I was worth anything that I was really trying to accomplish. And I did some exercises that helped me overcome self-sabotaging habits, like replacing that negative mind chatter with positive affirmations. I am worthy. Blessings are chasing me down. You know, God had me, He created me for a purpose. And I have a gift that He instilled in me. And I would just replace those every time I got that negative mind chatter. And then I was able to put together a program, which I decided later, I started helping people first before I even created my business, Masterful Purpose. And I became a role model, not only because I was able to go from hell to Chief Master Sergeant, which is the highest enlisted rank in the military, behind setting goals. Only 1% in the military, even fewer women, make that rank. But because people knew where I came from, a lot of people that didn't have any expectations for me were really surprised and proud of the accomplishments and especially those people who were still in those dark places, and they saw me get out and they saw my life turn around. They wanted to know what I was doing and how that could help them. Even in my military career of 26 years, 19 of those I was a recruiter. You go out to high schools and you talk to kids about their goals. You talk to them about their future. And I think I went into the military at 32, so I was older than a lot of the other recruiters. And when I went into high school, I was the same age as their mother. And you know, kids don't listen to their parents. They'll listen to anybody else. So I was speaking to the kids and they were listening to me. And I would tell them different avenues that they could use to achieve their future. I had them start thinking about what was in store for them later. And a lot of them don't think past today, don't think about past what I'm aware and this girlfriend or these kinds of things.
Sure. Yeah.
They listened to me and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I began to goal coach. I got into a position soon into my military career where I was interviewing people that were separating from the military. So now these guys are like 22 years old. And in order for them to separate from active duty Air Force, they had to speak to me. I was the in-service recruiter, recruiting them to go into the Air Force Reserve. And they would come to my interview and I would say, okay, what is your plan? And some of them didn't have plans. Some of them had some plans that weren't well thought out. Most of them didn't have anything in writing. And I would tell them, okay, I want you to come back at this time tomorrow, and I want you to tell me where you plan to be in the next 5 years. What's your immediate plan? What you plan to do as soon as you get out? What is the result of what you're going to do for your first month? And they would be like, I didn't know this was this. And because I was higher ranked than them, they had to do what I said. So they would come to me with a plan. They went home and they wrote out some goals and they had to think about their plan. And even though I was recruiting, a lot of those people realized it wasn't time for them to get out. And I would tell them, you don't get out of the military from having pay, from having life insurance, health insurance, not worried about what you're going to wear and where you're going to live and what you're going to eat, down a step to have to worry about that. You only get out when you have a full plan that's going to take you a leg up, not a leg down. And they started listening to me. Some of them didn't get out after my interview. They realized that they weren't ready. I had one guy, he was going to get out. He had been in the military 15 years, had 5 years to go for a lifetime retirement check. And he came to me and he was going to get out. And after I spoke to him, and he told me his goal of starting a T-shirt business. I guess he had been putting some words or stuff on a T-shirt on his side a little bit. And he was going to start a T-shirt business. And I spoke to him and I helped him realize that it takes 5 years. Usually that's what word on the street is. It takes 5 years for your business to be successful or fail. In 5 years, he could start his business now part-time. In the 5 years, he would know if that's going to be a successful endeavor for him. And then he would have that paycheck guaranteed the rest of his life to support that business should it not fail. And he didn't have any income. He didn't have any investors in this business. It was just him just going blanket. And I already had a business degree, so I kind of knew that he didn't know. And he came back and he actually brought me a little token thanking me for opening his eyes.
Straighten his path, helping him out.
Right. From then on, I really got more and more into goal coaching. And when I retired 5 years ago, I didn't have the faith to start out on my own with goal coaching. As I said, I began to go coach a little bit. I wrote a business plan, but I still didn't have the faith. I still was dependent on the government. When you separate from the military, if you're used to Uncle Sam telling you what to do, when to do, where to do, why to do, everything in your life, and especially 26 years, you're pretty much indoctrinated to that. That's a big, military members don't realize, because when you've been doing something or been told something for so many years, and that is the system of your life, when you separate that gap going from military to civilian world, you don't wake up the next day after you get your retirement order, oh, I'm a civilian. Every morning, you'll wake up still ready to jump up out of bed, put on your cap. You'll still be, when I went outside, after I separated, I was still looking for my cover. I knew my head couldn't be exposed. I was still talking to people, my friends and relatives, like I was still in the military.
Yeah.
I went to a school and I spoke to the school because I had already started doing things like that about their goals. And I went with my daughter, who is a real estate investor. And she pulled me to the side and she said, Mom, those aren't military people, those are kids. I went in there, 5, 4, 3, you will blast off into your future. Where will you go? How will you get there? And she looked at me and said, she was like, those are kids, right? And the kids were sitting in their chair with their eyes open, like, what's going on? I got their attention though. And that was actually my point, to get their attention. But when you separate from the military, you're so used to the military telling you this, this, this. One day, and I guess it was about 2 or 3 weeks after I separated, I woke up and I realized, ain't nobody the boss of me. Get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I could sleep in if I wanted to, And I finally realized it wasn't about a year later that I was able to put my uniforms away. I was like, okay, I might be needed, someone might call me.
Yeah.
And then going into the civilian world, I took an easy route. I got a contract with the advertising company that worked for the military. Only recruiters can get this position because you have to know rules and regulation in order to, on the phone, filter through people that want to get into the military and give those people that make it through your filter to the recruiters. And so I was that filter, and I did that for a couple of years while I was writing my plan, concreting
your business plan,
business plan, and speaking a little bit as well. I was venturing out a little bit, speaking at different venues, local venues, Kiwanis, Rotary, things like that. And then one day I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to step out on faith. I gave my notice for my contract job, and I set my goals. I already knew that in order to be successful, I would have to have clear, concise goals. I would have to every day inspect what I expected to see if I was on point. And I would have to give myself little micro wins, little victorious, in order to stay motivated, just like I would do my airmen when I was a chief in the military. I gave them clear, concise goals. I inspected what I expected of them to keep them on target. And then I would reward them. I would give rewards in front of people as well as privately. And when you set goals for yourself, you have to do the same thing. You have to have your goals. They have to be clear and concise. You have to inspect what your progress is in order to stay on track every day. And I do that not only with myself, but with an accountability partner that calls me and says, okay, you said you were going to make 10 prospecting calls. How'd you do on that? You said you were going to submit 15 poems for poetry contest. How'd you do on that? You said you were going to have 2 paid speaking engagements this month. In order to do that within the first 15 days, you have to have 1. Where are you at on that? And so I have an accountability partner. I also have a mastermind group. My mastermind group is a group of individuals that are all like-minded. And it's a speaking group organization that I joined. And together we share information. We talk about different obstacles that we may come across. And collectively, we're smarter. So something that I might not have thought about, someone else might come to the table, well, try this, do it this way. I went through that same thing, and this is how I overcame that. Collectively, we are smarter, so those mastermind groups are so important. And those are all the things that I teach in my workshop. I teach in the beginning, overcoming those self-sabotaging habits, fears. Everybody has, that's one thing that makes us all the same. Mm-hmm. Everybody has fears. Right. Everybody, whether you realize it or not.
Right.
And so realizing your fears, recognizing your fears. And one big thing, so I coach a lot of people, not for pay, but they just I have a Facebook Live, and they come on and I give them different tips and tools every Monday. And some people I coach on the side. But one of the things that is hardest for people to do is remove their self-limiting beliefs. We limit ourselves by our beliefs. And the exercise in my workshop, one of it is utopia. I have them write out their utopia. If everything was perfect, if they had no limitations, what would their life be? What would they be doing? How would they give back? And they write things that they could do in the natural. It's hard for them to break off those barriers. I would
Yeah.
fix the world. I would make sure I would end war. So the exercise is just that, to help them get beyond their blinders, to remove those blinders. Because if they only set their goal for something that they can do in the natural, something that they know they can do without a shadow of a doubt, God's not in that.
That's
God doesn't
right.
be in it.
He doesn't live inside those boundaries, right?
Right. Set your goal beyond. Make sure that it's something that you know that you'll only be successful in if God is in it. And if you're working your gift that God put in you, and you're working that gift for his purpose that he put in you to realize your goal that God is in, you can't help but be successful.
Yeah.
It all comes in alignment. And it's different. Your goal is different from your passion. And it's different from a task. Some people say, oh, I have a goal to eat right. That's not a goal. That's a habit you want to establish. There's no end date for that.
Right.
You're never going to at one day stop eating right. I have a goal to lose weight. Well, how much weight do you want to lose, and what date do you want to lose it? Okay, that's a goal. Now, the things that you do prior to that, eating right, drinking enough water, sleep, getting enough sleep, exercising, those are habits that you establish to reach your goal. But the goal is the weight. And you don't want to continue to lose weight. At some point, you want to stop. You don't want to get down to your original birth weight. All of those things. And then people confuse passion with goals. A passion is something that you really feel strongly about. I have a heart for girls. I have a program called M2G Eusapia Hadi. M2G is me to God. Eusapia Hadi means purity pledge, because I had a child at a young age, 17. Even though I left home at 15, I was actually really wanting to get pregnant, really wanting somebody that I thought would love me, which would be a child. That's the way I would get love, by having a child who had to love me, because I would take care of it. I would nurture it. Crazy thoughts you have as a kid. But a lot of that had to do with my lack of self-worth. Sure. And when I speak to girls in high school and middle school, they have a lack of self-worth. So many of them want to be appreciated, want to be recognized. They feel invisible. And I'm so surprised. These little girls are beautiful little girls. Maybe some dysfunction in the home. We all have that. But I just couldn't understand the mindset of these children that are in the home. I could understand mine away from the home. But then I could, because that's what got me out of the home. And so these girls are looking to get pregnant early. My sister was a middle school teacher, and the kids were committing suicide at age 10. 10-year-old kids committing suicide. How could this be? Lack of self-worth, lack of feeling like they are loved and appreciated. And, drugs are prevalent throughout school. And I believe even in elementary school. So they're exposed to this. So my program is to help girls 8 to 15 prevent young pregnancy, prevent drug abuse, and to prevent suicide, all the time making them disciples. And that's a passion of mine. That's not a goal. I don't have an end date for that. That's a program that I'd like to establish that I hope carries on beyond my lifetime. That's a passion. That's not a goal. And people confuse goals with passions. I'm passionate about literacy. I have a wisdom reading literacy club. That's a passion. That's not a goal. Goals are concise. They have an end result. They have an end date. And I submit to everyone I coach that if you have a goal, after you put your goal down, after you write your goal, I want to make $10 million. I want to be the president of my company. I want to open schools, whatever it is. The second thing on your goal list is, who are you going to help?
Oh, okay.
Who are you going to help? I made $10,000, but God doesn't get it to you for you. He gets it to you to get it through you. So who are you going to help by this $10,000?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So you have to I'm open 20 schools. I want to open 20 schools and have Jesus in them because Jesus isn't in schools anymore. Okay, who are you going to help? I'm going to help the kids. I'm going to help give them a moral foundation so they're not going to school and shooting each other anymore. I'm going to amass $10,000. And with that, I'm going to start a homeless shelter. I'm going to feed the kids before they go to school. I'm going to start a socks and blanket program for homeless people. What are you going to do that you know God's going to be in it for you to achieve your goal?
Yeah.
That's the second thing you have to do with your goal. And then you got to write them down. I say you have to say it. You say your goal. You say it out loud because words are things. God spoke the word into it. He could have just made it happen, Papa. He spoke the words. That's how important words are. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Words are important. You have to speak out loud your goal. Speak it out loud. If you say your goal out loud, then you hear it. And it overrides all that negative chatter going in the back of your mind. You cannot speak positive and think negative. You say your goal. You say it out loud until you too believe it. You believe it with every single fiber of your being. There is nothing in you. You see yourself. You go into the bank. You know what clothes you're wearing. You know how you smell. You know how it feels. You know how you're thinking when you're receiving this. And you believe it with every single, you have faith, that faith of a mustard seed that can move the mountains that come before you because you believe. And after you believe it, write it down. I think it is either Zig Ziglar that says, you have achieved your goal halfway once it is written. Write it down so you can see it. So it's not a dream. It's not in your head. You write it down to make it real. And you write it down every day, not just once. Every day you're putting it inside you. You have all, what's it, 1, 2, 3 different vessels or different areas of your body that can get to your heart. Things that you see can get to your heart. And you want to see it. You want to see it. Get it inside of you. See it written down. And as you write it down, it makes it real. And then, most important, take action. Only 13% of over 7 billion people in the world actually achieve their goals because they're not written and because they don't take action. You have to have action steps. You have to break that goal down. In my workshops, I say, let's start with the big goal and the end result. This is what you're going to do. These are the people you're going to help. Let's work backwards. Half the year, you should be halfway through. Quarter, you should be the quarter. And half that time, monthly, this is what you're going to do. Daily, this is what you're going to do. Hourly, this is what you're going to do. And you write it out every day, just like an elephant. You eat it one bite at a time. Don't worry about the big goal at the end. Just concentrate on what you're going to do right now. What am I going to do today, this hour, that's going to contribute to the bottom line and result in my goal? What am I going to do? What am I going to be successful? What's going to be my micro win for today? What is going to be my result for today? Day by day. And then you look at the end of your week and you say, wow. And then you look at the end of your month and you say, wow. But don't forget to celebrate. Every day, I give myself a micro win, something that I look forward to doing, but I'm not going to do if I'm not successful with my goal. And that makes me even want to succeed in my goal even more. I love to take a nice hot bubble bath. And I look forward to that. That kind of releases and relaxes me. But I know, and all during the day, I'm like, okay, I got this bubble bath in my mind, and I need to make these things so at the end of the day, I can relax in this bubble bath, I can relax, and I can celebrate my win. And you have to celebrate your micro wins. When I do get somebody that's interested in speaking to me, or I get a connection that's solid, I celebrate. I said I might go make myself a cup of tea or do something to celebrate my win. You got to celebrate your micro wins. And doing that, you'll be successful. It all adds up. At the end of the month, you can change your plans for your goals, but don't change your goals. If something not working, course correct. That's why you want to inspect what you're doing. At the end of the day, okay, this didn't work. Don't wait till the end of the week and say, oh, my week didn't work because I was doing this. At the end of the day, okay, maybe my pitch, my tagline wasn't working for the people that was calling. Let me change that and tomorrow try something else. Don't wait till the end of the week and say, man, maybe at the end of the week, that pitch that I was using didn't work. Inspect what you expect every single day. Reevaluate. review, and refocus every day. And so the next day you're going in it to it positive. But those accountability partners are critical too in achieving.
Absolutely, they are. I have a mastermind group that I'm very, very close with, and it's made a huge, we call it an accountability group, actually, not really mastermind, but we do a little bit of functions of both, but the accountability side is huge. Right now, we're reading Master Key System, and a lot of what you've been talking about that is in that book and in Zig Ziglar's works that we've gone through together. Very powerful, amazing stuff. And so all of that, folks, came from my original question, which is tell us about yourself. So if anybody thinks that Pam Pete is not passionate and has not found her calling, well, you just go rewind this. That's an old term. Don't rewind it. Just start it over. That was fantastic. It was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I am very, very passionate because so many people don't realize their abilities.
Yeah.
People settle for less. So many people just don't believe in themselves.
Yeah. That's sad, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And I'm a talker, you got to do that personality. Well, I guess I don't have to tell you I'm a talker, but knowing yourself is so important.
Yeah.
Knowing your strengths and your weaknesses.
And understanding, I think, paying attention to or asking close family and friends what you're good at is a very quick way to find, like you told us, the tremendous example of while you were in the military, recognizing what you were being called to with recruiting, but then also just understanding what you're really good at, what people are responding to in your world. And I think the best people to ask are family members, or peers or your boss or your subordinates. What would you say I'm better at than other people, right? I mean, it doesn't have to come across as some cocky thing. It's actually you asking for help. And I've found if you think back in your life when people said, wow, you're really good at that. I mean, those are signals. Those are keys to what, God gave you as your gift. That's fantastic advice that you've provided. I think this group had led you down one path. Is there other paths that you feel is important to talk about?
I published a workbook called Masterful Purpose, Goal and Daily Action Planner Guide. I know you can see this, no one else can, but this is my workbook. And it has that exactly in it, what you just said. First thing is to do is to analyze yourself. And that is one exercise that you said that's in my workbook. That's so funny. That you need to, if you don't already have a clue, but then even too, some people see you different than you see yourself, or you portray yourself differently than you see yourself. So that is so important to know yourself, to have that foundation. That's the first thing in my book is analyze yourself, know your strengths and your weaknesses, because in the areas that you're strong, those are areas that you will excel in. But the areas that you're weak in, you can ask people for help in those areas.
Yeah.
And get help. Why not? Get help in those areas.
Yeah, and if you're not extremely reflective, most of us, I believe, will, and we've talked about this with other guests, I think, on the show before, that most of us are blind to what we're just gifted at because it seems easy, right? So something that seems easy to us is not going to come across as something that we're super gifted at, unless maybe it's a class, a course, like if you're good at math, right? And that we have an education system that will point that out to you. But if you're really good at helping the elderly, that's not going to be obvious because it's just normal to you. Like you just kind of assume everybody else is good at something like that. So I believe enlisting those that love you and that will give you honest feedback is tremendous. So we're coming near the end, but Pam, I don't want to have focused you only in the direction. It sounds like, well, actually, one of the things that's really important is let the listeners know how they can find out more about Masterful Purpose and your other calling and missions.
My website is www.masterfulpurpose.com, www.masterfulpurpose.com. You can reach me by phone at 1-833-744-6483. That's 1-833-744-6483. And you can listen to me every Monday at 6:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on my Facebook page, Masterful Purpose.
That's awesome.
Masterful Purpose. And every Monday, I give tips and tools. Sometimes I do a mind, body, soul, and goal tip. Sometimes I just talk about tips and tools to help us celebrate you and your goal areas that people that contact me want to have more information on. It's a quick 10 minutes, just a 10 minutes little tools. I try to keep it to 10 minutes. Like you see, sometimes I go a little over, but I try to keep it down. I don't try. I take and try out of my vocabulary this year. I'm either going to do it or I'm not. My talk to 10 minutes. You can get some tips and tools. I'm on Instagram and Twitter too. Twitter is Pamela Pete 7 and Instagram is masterfulpurpose.com.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing close to an hour with our group. This is amazing. I really appreciate it. And I doubt that we lost any listeners, though, because that was just, that was really packed. Thank you, Pam, and for everything you're doing for the kids out there in this world, too.
Can I also say that you can get my Masterful Purpose Golden Daily Action Planner and Guide? I have a daily guide on my website at masterfulpurpose.com as well.
Pam, thank you so much for helping us.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
And here's to a great 2019 for you, me, and for all the listeners, because we're going to write our goals.
Yes, a year of abundance and boldness. 2019, we're in the green.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Hey, I'd like to introduce someone whose voice you've heard on the show before, and that is Chad. And we have a fantastic little YouTube raffle for you. Chad, what's it all about?
Yes, we have an exciting opportunity coming up for you to be able to win a free ticket to Meet the Masters coming up in March, or a $500 travel allowance. Here's what you need to do to be able to win one of those things. We'll be selecting a winner on March 4th when the contest ends. And all you have to do is go to the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Jason Hartman Real Estate. Subscribe if you haven't already. Then pick any video to watch. There's a variety of categories, everything about real estate investing, from finding the right markets, analyzing real estate deals, the economics of real estate investing, property management, financing. There's a whole wide range of videos that you can choose from, and choose one that you think would be interesting to you, watch it, and then go to the comments section and comment just a quick one-sentence comment on something that you learned from that video, and make sure to include the hashtag JHLive in the comment, and that will enter you into this raffle.
Okay, so that's real easy. You just go to youtube.com/Jason Hartman Real Estate, subscribe to the channel, and then watch any video you like, and make a comment below the video of one thing you learned, include the hashtag JHLive, and that will enter you in the raffle to win a free ticket to Meet the Masters or a $500 travel allowance. This ends on March 4th, so be sure to get it done before March 4th. We look forward to seeing you at Meet the Masters. Thanks for joining us, Chad.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Be sure to check out the show's specific website and our general website, hartmanmedia.com, for appropriate disclaimers and terms of service. Remember that guest opinions are their own, and if you require specific legal or tax advice or advice in any other specialized area, please consult an appropriate professional. And we also very much appreciate you reviewing the show. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or whatever platform you're using and write a review for the show. We would very much appreciate that. And be sure to make it official and subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.